guys, but you're not going to get
Yeah.
caught. So we're going to hand over to the casters here who are going to take away Purple Helmeted Warriors versus Templis.
Welcome back, I'm Rain, and I'm joined by Ithaca, and we're going to be commentating Purple Helmeted Warriors versus Templis CALSF. So, few have actually brought a Balgorn, double Vindicator, Oneros, double Magus, double Daredevil, and double Punisher, and one of the Vindicators actually has that new IGC skin you can get in the store now. Ithaca, do you want to introduce Templis for us?
Yeah, so Templis going for pretty much the full Caldaria roleplay here. Apart from that Scimitar, they're going dual Rattlesnake, Gila or Gila, dual Stork, dual Caracal, dual Manticore. And just quick point of note, there is a flagship on the field. Few are bringing their flag Balgorn here for this match. This should be a very exciting one.
Yeah, and they have brought their core battleships, few brought them in at 0, while the rest of their team is staggered. Whereas Templis have brought their battleships, both those double Rattlesnakes, in at 30. Even though I was going to say, the rest of its fleet is sitting at 50, they are all within those Balgorn web ranges, assuming Few was able to spend a ton of money on them.
Yeah, I mean, the few guys obviously not known for being poor, so hopefully this is a fairly pimped out Balgorn. Those Rattlesnakes sitting about 30 kilometers from them, so they should be sitting pretty to just start burning away. Those Vindicators are going to have to close range as fast as they can to get that high blaster damage, but in the meantime they're going to be flying straight into the Templis damage, so they have to hope that Fu-Man Cthulhu and the Oneros there is able to rep them as they burn up. I mean, that's a lot of damage coming from the Templis side here.
Yeah, so obviously with a lot of the Caracals as the support being able to pick off a lot of the frigates that Few has brought, and then obviously the heavy drone swarm from those drone boats. We do have 5 seconds until the match starts.
Yeah, hopefully Templis here will be going straight for those Daredevils and Punishers, just trying to remove that fast tackle from the Few side. If they can do that, then they'll be able to kite away from those two Vindicators without getting tackled. And immediately, of course, we're seeing both teams moving in the expected directions. Templis away from the Vindicators, Few towards the rest of the other team.
Yeah, we see drones out right away immediately on the opposing team, especially from those Rattlesnakes. Looks like they are actually primarying this Vindicator, putting pressure on that Oneros to try and keep it alive, whereas Few is actually going for the Scimitar with those long-range webs from the Balgorn.
Yeah, that Scimitar is webbed, as you say, but that Vindicator from France is taking a lot of damage. He is going to about 2/3 armor. The reps are landing, but it's whether or not that high damage setup from Templis can just burst through. Look at the size of the attack bar on both sides here. This is just pure damage on Templis and Few's side, although the control bar on Few is much, much higher. But that Vindicator on the Few side is really starting to struggle. He's hitting half armor now and still dropping, whereas the Scimitar seems to be currently sitting pretty, though he does seem to be running out of charges.
Yeah, so the Vindicator is actually burning into the Templis team, whereas their Logi, their Oneros, obviously is not going to just want to immediately start falling, but if he's in a fall-off range, then the reps won't be able to apply as much. You can see that he's still actually pulling back a little bit, whereas his Vindicator is now in structure, even though he's still receiving reps.
Yeah, if this Vindicator goes down before the Scimitar, this could be a very big trade for both teams here, to be honest. I mean, that Vindicator, bleeding hull, the rep's still landing from the Oneros, but it's not going to be enough. And I think, so first of all, a Magus goes down on the Few side, followed by the Scimitar, and finally that Vindicator down. So Few losing that Vindicator, a lot of damage just suddenly removed from the field, whereas Templis losing their Logi. Now, it depends, do these Rattlesnakes have some sort of local tank, as one of them is now webbed as well from those Vindicators? If they can remove that second Vindicator fast, that's a lot of damage gone. Of course, Few choosing to bring 80 points spread over just 4 ships.
Yeah, and I do believe those Rattlesnakes should have a local rep. If you look at their defense bar, there's that purple, which signifies local rep. Obviously, Purple Helmeted Warriors, that bar is significantly bigger, but they also still at least have their Logi, even though the second Vindicator is also dropping rather quickly.
Yeah, that Vindicator is eating the Purple Helmeted Warrior itself, and he is dropping into low hull now. The reps are landing from the Oneros, but it's not going to be enough, and Few is going to lose their second Vindicator, meaning that is basically most of their damage off the field. Just mainly the Balgorn, which is probably going to be a gun bal, plus 2 Daredevils and 2 Punishers. That's not a huge amount of damage, whereas Templis still have both Rattlesnakes, 2 Caracals, and a Manticore, which unfortunately has just been webbed, so that Manticore should probably die very soon. But as we're saying, that one of those Rattlesnakes is very low shield, although the damage has dropped off considerably.
Yeah, so you can see how short or small the Purple Helmeted Warriors attack bar is, say, compared to Templis. And even though Templis has the bigger attack bar, it's not applying that full attack bar. It's kind of bouncing up and down, but it's still higher than Few's. So if you really have to claw this back, whether it's, I don't know, shooting drones at those Rattlesnakes, getting rid of those Caracals and that Manticore.
Yeah, if they can get rid of that Manticore, it's a lot of damage off the field, especially applied to that Balgorn, and they have just done that. The Caracals are probably going to go in and out of Rapid Light Reload, so that is kind of burst damage. So this Aneros can survive long enough to rep his buddy in the Balgorn, then Few still have a bit of a chance, because the control provided by that Balgorn, as you can see the control bar is just huge, is a lot, but as we say that, the Aneros is now down, so this Balgorn of Purple Helmeted Warriors is now very vulnerable with no reps in the field, and still 2 Rattlesnakes and 2 Caracals giving out DPS. He is going to struggle to survive for 6 minutes and 30 seconds here.
Yeah, and those rattlesnakes too are, even without Logi, are very tanky on their own. So even if they can survive this whole match without losing another ship, which I doubt, watching that Daredevil drop into low armor, it'll be near impossible for them to catch back up in points.
Yeah, especially as they're losing one of their first Daredevils. It's a very good choice by Templis to go for those 2 Daredevils and just remove that heavy tackle from the field. The Balgorn is webbed, he is grappled, but he is taking quite a bit of damage going into low armor. So I expect that those 2 Rattlesnakes will come out of rapid heavy reload, and the damage is just full on being applied.
Yeah, and I think I saw him use a smart bomb. Yeah, he is using a smart bomb to try and get rid of those rattlesnake drones. However, they have a lot of HP, especially the heavy ones. So it's going to take a lot of cycles of that smart bomb, and the rattlesnakes are actually sitting right on top of him. So they'd be able to pull them back and try and, I would say, juke the drones to try and put out more healthy ones. And the Balgorn actually is dying. That is a lot of IS that's going to be on the field, especially if it's Officer Fit being a flag Balgorn.
Yeah, very disappointed. Rocket X is standing right behind me just now, looking kind of disappointed. The cheesy grin is long gone from his poor face as that flag Balgorn does indeed die. Just a few cleanups now for Templis here. Pretty strong win for them. They've managed to keep both those rattlesnakes alive. One of them living in very low shield. He's not concerned. A Stork does go down, but at this point, once this Magus dies, it's just those 2 Punishers, and that will be, unfortunately, the end of the AT road for Purple Helmeted Warriors.
Yeah, and Templis, being a team, they are not new. I want to say they are probably new to the Alliance tournament this year, but they're not new to tournaments in general. A lot of their team members, including their captain, the last Spartan, have been in plenty of even T tournaments. So they have a lot of history with tournaments. I would say more so than Purple Helmeted Warriors, where I think this is their first year that they've actually made it.
Yeah, exactly. So Templis doing really well this year so far. That spectacular upset we saw in the first week, where they managed to best Hydra Reloaded, a team that many had favoured to not only do well, but to even win the tournament. And with that, that is the second Punisher down. Templis there taking 100 points to 33 over Purple Helmeted Warriors, and we will hand it back to the studio.
EVE Dublin returns this October 20th and 21st. For tickets and more details, please visit www.evedublin.com.
Hey guys, welcome back from a fantastic match. It is me once again, Epophany. Now I want to ask, Jintan, what were you expecting from that match?
Well, try not to look too smug.
And we are back from the very funny and hilarious joke we set up there. Still. So Bal, double Vindy rush, top end, 2 majors coming in with the links, double Daredevil and double, I want to say, was it Punisher? On the bottom end, I think, and then that up against double Rattle comp. So we've seen very, very few Rattlers, certainly fewer than I expected, given that, T2 heavy drone Rattlers, pretty good, I think, as a core ship, perhaps because they're so expensive, and Shield is so difficult to support these days, difficult to get links on, especially which are so powerful. What did you guys think of these 2 comps, Jintan?
I actually really like their Templis CALSF comp. It was just based around bringing the girth, absolutely just out DPSing even, you know, 2 Vindicators. It's not often you see a team that can do that.
Yeah. Suetonia, what were your thoughts on that match?
I really like Fuse setup. It was really cool. Just 80 points in 4 ships, and then just the support is 20 points.
Rocking out with their pride out in full force there. Rocket, you've been out in the viewing party today over with the in the main antenna restaurant bar area, and then tomorrow I'm assuming you'll be at Ult. How have you been finding the atmosphere in the room out there?
It's been good. It's been a lot of fun. There's a lot of people that I haven't seen before, met at either Eve Meets or in game. So it's nice to see a change of scenery, if anything, actually, as well. It's certainly drawn a different crowd this time around.
Yeah, it's not as like huge and bustling as the main event meets, but I kind of like that. It's just like, well, like 30, 40 guys just chilling, chatting, talking about Eve. It's really, really nice atmosphere. Kind of reminds me a bit of the meet we had last year in Birmingham, which was admittedly many fewer people again, but it was a good time. It was a good time. Still, moving on to our next match, we have Soliaris Chitonian, better known as Slice, who are going to be going up against No Handlebars. Now, Slice lost to Abandoned Park, which are a perfectly strong team, kind of like one of our mid-tier teams, and then they beat FCON. No Handlebars beat 404 Alliance Not Found and then lost to Bright Side of Death. Suetonia, how do you rate these 2 teams thus far as we've seen them in the tournament?
Well, since Slice can't bring Sino Procurers, I don't like their chances in this tournament.
Is that bad experiences right there?
Jintan, what do you think?
I'm not really sure what to think. These 2 teams are relatively new. They haven't really shown what they're about yet, and they've both lost to kind of mid-tier teams. So I'm looking forward to seeing which one of them does come on top here. I think No Handlebars Dot is slightly advantaged, though.
Okay, so actually the team captain for Slice, a guy called King Voodoo, is very kindly sending me Eve mails with YouTube videos to a lot of their practices, and he's been very active posting on the forums and posting a lot of videos, so check out King Voodoo's YouTube channel for a whole bunch of Slice internal testing versus a variety of teams and a variety of different comps. It's really interesting looking if you're into looking at 80 teams and how they look internally rather than from our spectator tools, and also kind of getting that viewpoint if you're looking at starting an 80 team, what does it look like to fly on an 80 team? They got views from multiple different pilots, you know, from Logi perspective, from Battleship perspective, from tons of different perspectives. It's a really great set of videos to look at there. No Handlebars, I have to say, I know a lot less about. I don't know if any of you guys know much about them.
Oh, they're a low-sec alliance that live in Mimitar factional warfare space.
They did try and anchor a keep star recently as well, and
I
they paid
that.
a lot of people to defend it, and it didn't end up going their way, if I recall, so it did actually explode in the end.
Yeah, the Augur keep star.
I would know how that feels as well.
It's
Thanks,
good times,
Jen.
good times.
So I was told we have a lovely graphic ready for this match coming up. So we have the Balgorn of Arkeras Amangiar. So we have some pretty cool mods here.
I really hope he's not expecting me to pay for this. I hadn't seen the fit before now, actually.
Yeah, no. So we've actually got a fairly poor slot layout on the low end there, having your passive modules not absorbing heat from your hardeners or your rep, though it is a officer heatsink. I don't know if that is in fact the best flavor of officer heatsink, because I'm not rich enough to ever have even bothered looking at them. And then on the top end we have Raymond's modified large EMP, Corpus X types heavy newt, a NOS. So we are actually seeing again this meta switch from Balgorns with half guns, half newts, move on to having a smart bomb in their flavors. Let's get rid of those drones. And then on the bottom end we've got sensor booster, MWD heavy cap booster, all perfectly normal, and then 2 Gotan's modified stasis webs. Do you guys know how that compares to a Toby web? Is a Toby web best? Is this equivalent?
Toby web is best. I think Gotan gives you 60-kilometer range with wings and heat.
I think it's one down from
yeah,
Toby's, isn't it?
It is in fact
like
the
Meta 13.
most expensive flagship down so far, which makes it the most expensive loss of the tournament so far, with the exception of the Waffles Rabisu. Right. Moving onwards, we have announcements of the winner of the draw of that match. We have Solar Fleet versus Mercenary Coalition. That was called correctly by Chloe Frost. So congratulations, Chloe Frost. 1 billion ISK for you. So moving on, as we said, to the next match coming up, Slice versus No Handlebars. We should have the bans here in a moment. I'm expecting to see them come through, but they are not here yet. No, here they are. So the bans for the upcoming match are... Oh, guys, why are you doing this to me? Never mind. We have the winner of the next match coming through, the winner of the Templis match, which we just saw against you. That was Erica Durance. So congrats to Erica Durance as well, getting a billionist there. Here we have the bans coming back. Slice have banned the Balgorn and the Scimitar. Interesting bans there. And No Handlebars have banned the Blackbird and the Basilisk. Now, I'd be interested to hear in my ear, if you guys can check for me, whether or not No Handlebars or Slice have a flag Balgorn available or had one and it was destroyed. If you guys can update me on that, and we'll talk about that. But yeah, so Suetonia, tell me a little about these bans, banning Balgorn and Simi from Slice and Blackbird and Basilisk from No Handlebars.
Well, we see both Shield Logistics banned. We see Blackbird banned, which is a popular choice in a lot of armor comps as well as some shield comps. And the Balgorn ban is kind of weird if either of them have a flagship up.
Yeah, the audience is actually predicting 71% to 29% at the moment that it is going to be No Handlebars taking the match. But I know that Slice has been practicing really hard, and personally I was going to favourite them for this match. What do you think, Jin?
Well, I think some of that just comes from the fact that No Handlebars is a low set group and B, kind of known for small gang PvP, whereas Slice is less so. I think that's misleading, however. I think this is honestly too close to call, like 45-55 to Handlebars maybe.
Okay, so I've been updated on the flagships there. Slice have a Geddon flagship, and No Handlebars flagship is dead. So the Balgorn ban then stopping any Balgorns appearing in this match. The flagship cannot bust through them, and we have a graphic here of the remaining flagships to bring up for you guys. So we have a whole bunch of Balgorns still to go. As it turns out, we have a few Armageddons and maybe just one or two Vindicators left over. So what other flagships did we see picked? I remember that there was a Scorpion flagship picked by Pandemic Legion's first round opponents. They unfortunately have been knocked out of the tournament, I believe. So that obviously will no longer appear, even if they were, even if they didn't necessarily lose the flag Scorpion, which they may have done so long ago now, last weekend. Rocket, what do you think, seeing this graphic? Would you like to see more variety in viable flagships? Do you think that maybe a rule change is in order to kind of give us a more breadth of seeing different flagships build up? Or do you think that the battleships are actually fine, it's just kind of a result of the specifics of this meta that we're in that bring the Balgorn forward and has done for several years now?
Well, I mean, it's difficult really because as we were saying earlier, like, choosing to make a ship your flagship is more about getting more out of the statistics that the ship has and its bonuses. So, I mean, if you're looking at a Balgorn, you get a massive amount of utility. You get the newts, so you can improve the range and newt amount on by adding higher end neutralizers that you wouldn't be able to do on a non-flagship. And obviously the webs as well. As we've discussed, the Gotan and Tobias webs offer you 60k plus webs, which allows you a massive amount of control in the arena. And that's on a ship that's a battleship where you don't normally get that level of control. So the issue is really here about how those ships are used in this environment. And in terms of balancing, it's going to be very difficult to get away from that sort of kind of meta because it's more about those ships having those different bonuses, because effectively you're looking at a Balgorn, which is, you know, it's going to be a battleship with its DPS, a curse in its terms of its neutralizing power, and also the Hugin as well in terms of the web range bonus. And not many other ships have that kind of platform to rest on. Yeah. So it's not really a balancing issue, it's just about the nature of the ships. And when we see the Geddons used in place of Balgorns, that's again about newt range, which is again more about control than the cap warfare itself. It's quite interesting in the way that that's been used. I don't see that changing in future tournaments, really, regardless of web changes or any kind of change to the balancing of the control system. In effect, we have seen in the past Scorpion Navy issues, for example, used as flagships, simply because you can beef up the tank, you can get more damage out of them. But again, I think people are always going to try and maximize upon ships that gain the most from having these upgraded modules.
With all those different roles it can fill, that's even though it's very heavy on points, it's very pilot efficient. So you have 9 pilots left of your potential 10 that you can fill out just damage rolls, the other rolls with the Balgorn doing so much of what you need. Though you are then making it a high priority target if it's one ship doing many things, if it gets jammed, if it gets neutered out, which is unlikely on a Bal, but if something happens to your Bal, suddenly the tables are turned because so much is one ship.
It's certainly a problem. If
Still, we are rapidly approaching the next match, so we'll do one very quick graphic before we go to it. We have the Vindicator team graphs coming up here now. So Vindicator-based comms on matchups. So against Shield, it has won every single time. Against Armor, it's not done as well, if we're honest. 1 win of 7 matches, and then you can see the rest of the stats going along there. But that is enough of the cool graph porn. Let's head over to this next match coming up, Slice against No Handlebars.